Welcome, fans, once again to KB's Unemployed show, the only show on the internet where you can sit at your job and watch a guy who doesn't have one anymore. What will KB do today? Change guitar strings, perhaps? Grade papers? Worry about his future? Who knows? The only thing we know is it's guaranteed to make you question your intelligence, simply because you're watching it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the unemployed lifestyle of KB.
The pods are now open.
Look at my cat. Look at my cat. Look. Look.
I like to study about the world cities and airports.
KB brings just great instincts. That's what you love about him.
Oh, that boy ain't right.
If Andy yearns for Brenda and Brenda cares about Charlene, who pines for Andy, the three of them form one of these. Kara.
What is it, threesome?
No.
Taste the biscuit. Taste the goodness of the biscuit.
Lesbians. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
I don't mind a bit of bush.
37 in a row? Shut the f*** up, okay? Shut the f*** up.
Do you want to start drinking?
Yes.
You know I'm gonna have to go for 420, Bob.
Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its! Cheez-Its!
Light this candle.
He's right. Let's light this candle.
Light the candle.
Are you ready for it?
That candle is lit, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to KB's Unemployed show. It is day 41, and I am still unemployed and have no prospects. So, well, Sue's not here, so she can't hear me. I have no prospects and haven't even attempted to look. So how about that? But yes, it is day 41, and I'm kind of liking this. I don't know if the show's any good, but I'm kind of liking doing this and getting ready. I'm learning an awful lot of stuff that the young people know about the social medias. And so this has been kind of fun. So I think I'm going to keep it going. But a couple of things want to talk about today. And I'm going to ask you guys for your feedback, because there is something in the works that might be of interest to you. And I kind of want to see what you're thinking and whether or not you think it's a good idea. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about football playoffs and the college football playoff tonight. I'm going to give you my prognostication, if you will, as to what I think is going to happen in that game. I can tell you this much. Where I stand, I can tell you where I stand right now on the college football playoffs. You've done dragged this out way, way, way too long. Love the sweatshirt. Oh yeah, I forgot. Thanks, Brent. This was a gift. This was a gift from my son for Christmas. I thought with the Gothic letters it would be pretty hard to read, but I guess not. Maybe I should move this over there so I can disguise it. It's from a bar in Boston called The Clock, which is a bar right by, it's about 2 blocks from where he lives in Southie. And they've been hanging out there. And one of the things that my son started doing for me, I don't know how it happened. I think I made the comment that at one point that I thought that the absolute worst gift you could give on Christmas would be a T-shirt from the bar, or on Christmas Eve, is a T-shirt from the bar you were drinking at all day that made you late for dinner. And I said that as a passing joke. And I guess now for the last, I don't know, 10 or 12 years, ever since he's been of relative drinking age, my Father's Day gift or a Christmas gift is always a bar T-shirt or a bar hoodie or something of that effect. And so this is the one that I got. The font reminds you of the Outlaws motorcycle style. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like a Gothic, I guess you could say, kind of like a Celtic thing. Hey, Doug says, I love the show. And are you in Montana, Doug? Are you out in Montana? Because that's my son wants to. Well, everyone's moving out to Montana, so maybe shouldn't be moving to Montana, because that's where everybody is going now. You know, people are getting out of LA and they're going to Montana, and they're going to make Montana suck. if they end up staying up there. But my son wants to. He goes, I want to go. He goes, I want to move to Montana and get a bunch of acres. And he goes, I'll build a little house for you and Mom, and we can raise chickens. I'm not so sure about the chicken raising, but I told him, I go, why don't you look at some land in New Mexico where it might be a little bit more temperate? But what's the temperature out there, Doug, right now in Montana? Because right now it sucks balls here. It's 9 degrees below, or it's 9 degrees where I am. Well, actually, it's 1 degree. 1 degree. I take that back. It is 1 degree with a wind chill of about -9. Sue has been out 3 times today. It's 48 degrees in Montana. Let's give it up to Doug. 48 freaking degrees. That's almost Gulf weather. I was talking to Red Hot today. I was talking to him this morning. We were on the phone together, and he's like, "Yep, on the way to the golf course." I was like, "Yeah, screw you. I'm sitting in my room in my office." But whereabouts in Montana are you, Doug? If you don't mind me asking. I was out. I drove from Milwaukee to Seattle when I first got out of college, and I can tell you, when we were driving through North Dakota, and I mean, we were driving for hours and hours and hours, and we stopped to get gas. And the guy that I was with, I said, "God, Montana sucks. There's nothing here. It's all flat." He said, "Dude, you're not even out of North Dakota yet." But when you get to that western part of Montana and you start getting to the mountain ranges, and then you get over into Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and up there, it's pretty beautiful country. So, anywho, I kind of got off track, but that's what I usually do. That's what happens with the show, is I go off track. But there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. One thing is I'm going to be adding to this channel is North Central, 30 miles from the border. You got to go. Oh shit! I wish Johnny Vegas runs a casino out there, and I'm trying to think of the casino, but it's in it's about 30 to 40 miles from the border, but it's more in the western part of the state. And I want to say it's about 2 hours from Bozeman. But anywho, I'm going to be adding some things to the channel here. So over the course of the next week or so, I have to get some permission, but I don't think it is going to be a problem. But I'm going to be, Brian Butch has been doing short updates on Twitter, and I'm going to be getting that footage from him, and I will put it on this site. So Brian Butch is going to have a little section on here. I am going to look at anybody else who is doing anything formerly of the game, and if they want stuff up, I'm going to put it over here as well. I want to keep I kind of want to keep the family together, in the sense that we all go our separate ways, but the fact of the matter is we had a pretty good family, and we all will help each other out. What's your take on Milwaukee sports radio? Please, 97.3 could have a hell of a reunion party. What a load of talent. Why, thank you, James. But as I was saying, we're all like family here. So, we all kind of like hung out, we kind of hung out together. And it really was one of those strange places that I ever worked at, that there was only one person who I didn't get along with, and it wouldn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who that would be. But there was only one person that I didn't get along with, and everybody else I just absolutely loved working with and adored. It was just really such a strange, it was a strange situation, because I've never seen that, like a synergy like that anywhere in any job. And we never really let egos or personalities get in the way. And it was, I think that's probably why we had such a success there. But I am going to be adding Butchie's updates to this page, and expand in that way, and try and reconnect a little bit more some of the people on the game. If you haven't done so already, I'd like to I think you should go to drewandkb.com, because if you go to drewandkb.com, what you will be able to do is send me your email address, and I can give you updates on exactly what's happening. I really can't. So I can give you, updates on what's going on, and you may or may not get a link to some things that is not available for the general public. So, which may or may not have some very interesting content. So I think that you might want to look at that if I were you, and you might see what might be in store next. So anywho, but what was my take on sports radio? 97.3 would have a hell of a reunion party. I think it would too. What I liked about it was that we were really a kick-ass radio station, and we had an awful lot of fun. And I think that we had there was an awful lot of talent. Ben, yeah, I do have. Yes, I do have yours, Ben. There was an awful lot of talent, and what I liked about the station is that I hate sports talk radio. I cannot stand it, because most sports talk radio is just two guys yelling at each other. Two guys who like sports, one of whom may have played in high school. Another one that doesn't look like they could bench 25 pounds. And this is, or a watt, or like, and I'm not singling out anyone here in town or at all. I'm talking about, this is universal across the country. And then what they do is they just, apparently to win an argument in sports talk radio, you just have to yell loud, and whoever yells the loudest wins. So that is, that's the way sports talk radio is. I mean, there's a spot for it, but I can tell you that I can let you in on the secret sauce that Drew and I had, and that was there. Which of the two are you, KB? What do you mean? Which of the two? Yeah, I'm the one who I'm the third guy who really doesn't care about sports talk radio or care about having a hot take. Drew and I would call that sports C-SPAN down the aisle. It's like down the dial. Oh, you listen to sports C-SPAN. If you want to get in an argument on the off ball rotation of the Milwaukee Bucks, knock yourself out. That is just not my scene. But the secret sauce that Drew and I had was we both harbored a disdain for sports talk radio. And it was our belief, and I can tell you what we went into each show with was quite simply this, that in Milwaukee, at least where we started, if you had a really crappy day at work and you were driving home and you're in your car, and most of which people do not even listen in their car anymore, and that radio is, I think radio is going to go the way of newspaper. How quickly, I don't know, but radio people seem to be hanging on to their product a little too tightly. And I think we've all seen what happened in the newspaper. And I do recall people at newspapers saying, people like the tactile feel. They want to turn the page. They want to do this. And it's like, now people don't really care about that. Radio's kind of barking up that tree now. But anyway, the way Drew and I approached it was that there was 9 hours of sports talk before we came on the air. So if anyone cared about sports that much, they weren't waiting around until they got to us. So we had to be different, right? And although we both like sports, Drew covered sports. Drew is certainly much more knowledgeable about sports than I am. I'd like to think that I would have brought insight into the fan, the regular guy who maybe doesn't know the ins and outs of the way things work, and kind of looking at it from that perspective. But the way we saw things was, if you're driving home from work in Milwaukee and you had a really bad day at work. Maybe you had to fire someone. Maybe you got fired. Maybe a big deal blew up. Maybe you and your spouse are fighting, or your kid got thrown out of school or something, whatever it is. You've had a bad day, right? What were your choices if you got in the car? You're stuck in traffic and you got a guy yelling at you about politics, right? Which those shows do nothing except get everybody angry. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but they get everybody angry, right? Or you listen to classic rock that you've heard a million times, and I can sit in my car and I can listen what I want. I just put my I just put my Apple CarPlay in. I'll listen to whatever I feel like, and or you listen to like really old people news. So Drew and I took the approach that if that person has a really bad day at work and they get in their car angry or upset or preoccupied, if at least once during that ride home or during that afternoon, we make them laugh or forget about what happened at work that day so they don't go home and kick the dog and crush a bottle of wine, then we win. So every time we went into a show, and we went into the show with the approach of how can we entertain somebody? How can we make somebody's day a little bit better? And that's it. So there's nothing, I guess you could say it's not really a secret. It's more of a philosophy or an approach. And here I'm just trying to do the same thing. If you're taking time out of your day to sit and watch this, that's why I sit and read the comments. I like to have a conversation with you guys back and forth. I love it when you guys have conversations with each other. It's just kind of like a big group chat. And I only do it for like an hour and 15 minutes, but I like to touch on some subjects that might be of interest. Now, I tend to stay away. I definitely stay away from politics. Although later in the show, I got to hop on it a little bit because there was something that happened that really pissed me off. And I mean, really pissed me off. And I'm getting so sick of everybody they're jumping on bandwagons and this and that and their self-righteous indignation. And I swear to God, I want to leave the country. But I really do. In fact, showing up in my Instagram feed now are all these tourism things from other countries that are basically advertising saying sick of the United States. Well, yes, I am. But best country on earth, also the most annoying. But nonetheless, I will touch on the political thing. Let's see. That's why I put my name as Jacob in a van, because I listen to you all on my service van in the mornings and on the drive home. Yeah. And I was the one who started doing that with the names on the talk and text line. Other people weren't. They were just going with the number. But it all started back on the D list with Drew, and he had people that he would give them D list numbers. He and Dan Needles, and D list guy number one was marking a truck. And so all I did was if someone called in and made something in their comments, said something in their comment, or texted in their comments, and it was something memorable, then we would put it in. And so we would identify, because there's 5 gyms. We had different Jacobs. You were Jacob in a van, right? We had Joe the plumber. We had Marlo, who didn't go to Michigan Tech, but it just allowed us to keep our smart and good-looking listeners straight, but it also kind of gave us a way to connect with you in a way, like on a more personal level. And that's what we really loved about it. Sports talk radio is more so about fighting to be quote unquote right about your take. There's no shame. There is no shame in being incorrect about a sports take. I remember when I first started, it was so funny. I still do. If you go like look on Reddit and things like that when they're talking about the game shutting down and everything like that, I'm of everyone on the station, I'm the one who gets absolutely railed more than anybody else, being called an idiot and the like. And I can't take him. His sports takes were the worst, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's like, yeah, you think I don't know that? Absolutely. I mean, like I wasn't trying to be insightful, and I used to say, hey, if you're coming to me for insight, you're coming to the wrong place. And they would say, well, you're on a sports show. Yeah, so what? Well, you should know everything about sports. Who says? You do. I don't. And I was just being me. And right here, I'm just being me. Just me and unemployed. That's all I'm doing. And I didn't take a shower until 2:00 today. I thought that was pretty fabulous. I was feeling kind of grimy, but I'm not going outside. It was so freaking cold. But nonetheless, and so in terms of sports talk radio, if you want to hunker down and listen to guys fight about sports, that's fine. But with your phones, with everywhere that you can go, with YouTube and all of that, I can find the information I want to find, and I can make my own decisions and draw my own conclusions. And so I just try and be someone who is, questionably, arguably, and certainly there are different opinions. I just want to be entertaining. I want to try and be funny, and I'm a little tongue in cheek. I'm a little sarcastic. Hopefully I don't mind being hated, because I kind of know what I'm all about. I know why people hate me. I don't mind being hated on the air. I read one place that the Howard Stern is very obviously he's very polarizing, and they did research, and the people who hate Howard Stern listen longer to Howard Stern than the people who like him. And Dave Luzak, who I worked mornings with before, told me something. And they did a lot of research over there, and what do you think of this person? What do you think of that person? And blah blah blah. And he said the worst place you want to be is in the middle. He said the worst place is in the middle. You do not want to be in the middle, because if you're in the middle, people are indifferent. He goes, if they hate you or they love you, at least they feel something. So I try not to be in the middle. B-Jam says, my dogs love the cold, hate their boots, which I only use when it's this cold. Kenneth was out, came back inside of about 10 feet this morning. We put his he's got like a down jacket that we put on him, but the feet thing, we've got 3 boots. I can't find the 4th one, but he puts those boots on, and you'd think he was, we should have a telethon for him, the way that he walks. It's like boom, boom, boom. But so I don't take him out in that. What I do, like if we're walking on the street, what I got was this paste, and it's what I got it on Amazon, and that's they got it on Amazon, and that is where obviously you can get anything, but what it is, it's this paste that you put on their pads, and it's the same stuff that sled dogs use. So that's what they put on the feet of sled dogs. So when we go out walking, if it's in the wintertime, I put that on him so the salt doesn't, hurt him. I don't know if it protects against the cold, but I just got a text from a friend. What the F? Isn't anyone on the station anymore? I don't know. I guess not. If you want to get up early in the morning, just a shout out to my boys, Billy and Armin and Drew and Hunter. They're starting tomorrow morning at 9:20 a.m. at 5 a.m. So, there's one show that's remaining. So good luck to those guys. I hope everything goes well for them, and congrats for being able to hang on and avoid the axe. So good for them. I'm happy for them, but I'm happy for me too, which gets me to my first topic today. Usually I wait till the end of the show to do what color is the sky on your planet. But this one might require a little bit more of a discussion, because this really pissed me off. Really pissed me off when I saw it this weekend. And I'm not going to get into anything political. You believe what you want to believe. I will say this much right now. This is the most effed up I've ever seen the country. I'm just like going, what the hell is wrong with people? Have we all lost our minds? And this is both sides. Okay, this is both sides. Okay, both of them, the left and the right, and then whoever's in the middle, or I'm just about ready to blow my freaking head off. Okay, but this one absolutely set me off big time. And so this is my what color is the sky on your planet today. And I go to Minneapolis for this one, where Don Lemon pulled some crap yesterday that I thought was so egregious and so out of bounds. When I shake your leg, we get some noise from you. Okay, it's probably rocking the microphone. I'll be very careful, Brent. Thank you. But that would be the ADD there. But he did something that was so out of bounds, and then he was so self-righteous about it. It just pissed me off to no end. But I don't know if you saw this or not, but he embedded himself into a group of protesters who then marched to a church where holding a church service, was a pastor who they believe, his name is Pastor David Easterwood, they believed was an acting field office director for immigrations and customs enforcement. That's what the activists, they claimed that he was secretly a field office director. So they decided to go into the church chanting "Ice Out" and "Justice for Renee Good." And you can protest as much as you want, right? But it got so disruptive that the service had to end. And it's absolutely ridiculous, man. It's church. You know, if you can't go to your house of worship and not be disturbed, I mean, that's like off limits. That would be one of those things to me that's off limits, just like in like political campaigns, kids and families, right? You can trash the guy who's running as much as you want, but you stay off the kids and you stay off the wife, and you don't do anything like that. It's just not fair territory. And so he goes barging into this church. They disrupt the service, right? And what ends up happening is that the pastor is like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? You know, why are you coming in here?" And he challenges Don Lemon. And Don Lemon then drops the fucking First Amendment on them in a way that was very condescending. It's like, first of all, you were on a network, you got blown out, okay? I don't remember why, but you did something that was probably like this, right? And he's like, so you went, I don't care what you believe. You don't go into a house of worship at all. Yes, it is a quote unquote sacred place. But then he doubles down on it. And he says, "Oh, I didn't even know they were going to this church until we followed them there." Okay, let's break that sentence down. I didn't know we were going there until we followed them there. Okay, if you're following them and you get close to a church and you walk up to the doors of the church, you're going to know they're going to a church. At which point you can turn heel and go, "Hey, you know what? What are you doing here? It's a church, for God's sakes. You can't wait for 20 minutes for them to get out." If it was a Catholic church, okay, the mass would be 55 minutes. but you would catch everyone at 48 minutes because they're all leaving after communion. But anyway, he says, I didn't even know we were going to the church until we followed them there. And we were there chronicling the protests. And once the protest started in the church, well, who started it? You were there and you went and started with them. You're just as complicit in the whole thing as anybody else. You're in the church, for Christ's sake. And he goes, once it started, we just did an act of journalism and reported on it and talked to the people involved. No, you interrupted a service, for God's sakes. You can do your journalism all the time. And then got really indignant saying, that's what it's called. It's called journalism, First Amendment, and all that stuff. All of you people who believe in the First Amendment, absolutists, there you go. And it's like, you douchebag. You are a total D-bag for doing that. You went into a church and started asking questions to try and drum up, a story. I mean, stay outside. There's enough going on outside that you don't have to go into a church and interrupt somebody's service. It's not like they're a terror cell in there, right? It's not like it's some sort of a secret hideaway that they're planning some sort of attack. They're going to church. They're going to worship, okay? I know I'd be pissed off if somebody came into my church, and I also know if someone was walking down the street to a church and they were going to do it, I would go, maybe we shouldn't go into the church. So for that, all I can say is to Don Lemon, what color is the sky on your planet? And that's all I'm going to say from here on out about that stuff. Okay, that's all I'm going to say, because to be perfectly honest with you, I'm completely sick and tired of all this bullshit. I can't take it anymore. I don't know who's right or who's wrong. All I know is the fact that the only people that are getting screwed in this whole deal are us regular folks who are just trying to get along. It's not freaking easy out there, man. It's not. Everything has gotten so much more complicated, and everyone's got an opinion about everything. Whatever happened to someone just looking at someone going, what an asshole, and then forgetting about them? Why can't we do that anymore? That's the way I always thought, what an asshole. Yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. What a total asshole. I mean, there's been presidents who I've hated. There's been presidents who I liked. It's like they're still the president, and it's like, I don't know why we need Greenland. I don't think we need Greenland, so back off Greenland. I mean, I have no idea what's going on. Everything is so unhinged. And all I know is that, and this is not to say that I'm advocating in the midterms for Republicans to hold everything. All I know is, I will tell you what will happen, is that should the Republicans lose power, and I'm not saying they're entitled to keep it, so don't start pinning anything on me. If they lose power within the first week, they will undo everything that's been done, and it will be a mess again. And we will be back to where we were in 2008. And it's been back and forth ever since then. We're going to undo all this stuff. That the next guy comes in and he does all of that. Then the next guy comes in and they undo all of that. And it ends up being a complete and utter shit show. And the thing is that we just can't have that anymore, because we haven't made any progress. And it's on, and it's Martin Luther King Day, it's like everyone's got the day off, and but no one really knows what the whole thing is about, right? And no one it's not about I deserve as much as you, or I should have more than you. It's about treating people with dignity, and nobody does it. No one does it anymore. No one treats anyone with dignity, and I'll treat anyone with dignity that I can, unless you're an asshole. And if you're an asshole, I'm gonna call you an asshole. And then, you know what? I don't keep you in my life. That's how that works for me. Then it's like, okay, you're dead to me, and I move on. But I do find it incredibly funny, though, that you've got all these women shaving their heads now. Like I'm supposed to care. We're going to shave our heads in solidarity. Really? Okay. And that accomplishes what? They all do it for clout. It's so narcissistic. They do it so they get views and likes on their Instagram page. They're trying to curry favor with the people that think their way anyway by shaving their head. And they go, oh, look at that, shaved their head. Then if you're lucky enough, then someone might pick up your TikTok of you shaving your head, and then you'll be put all over the news and everything like that. And you go, oh, you're the woman who shaved her head. And then I would go, what an asshole. Because why are you shaving your head? The first thing that I saw was, and I heard someone in passing say, all these women are shaving their head in solidarity, to support this. And it's like, good for you. You know who else shaved their head? All of Manson's followers. They were all head shavers. I don't know if you remember that. They all shaved their head. Okay. Hop right in there with Squeaky Fromm and Sarah Jean Moore and Patricia Krenwinkel. See, this goes to show you. Tex Watson. Who was the other one? That was there was a Sadie. I'm trying to think of who the killers were. It was Patricia Krenwinkel. I don't remember the other one. But they were all head shavers. Head shavers don't do anything. If you're going to shave your head to support a friend of yours who may be battling cancer. All right. And there you shave your head for that, and you stand up for someone like that. That's a great and righteous way to do it. Okay. But you shave your head to protest something. You're not doing it to protest, because you know what? No one asked you to shave your head. You decided to do it. And it's just kind of like a bizarre virtue signaling, which I don't get at all. So stop shaving our heads, okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. I shaved my head almost all the way down once, and I did it because I was curious to see what I would look like bald. Because you got to be, the bald look was working. The bald look worked for Dan Needles, right? Dan was losing his hair, and he went full bald, and it worked, and he looked good, right? And some people look good bald, but you got to be careful. You got to be sure that you're going to have a decent head if you're going to go bald, right? Because if you got like, I can go my head now and I go, I don't think I'd have a good bald head because I kind of got two ridges right here, and it'd be kind of like a teepee type thing. So, but I did shave my head all the way down once, and it didn't work. It was not good. I will not be going. Thankfully, it won't be going bald anytime in the near future. But if I guess I'm just at a total loss right now. I have no idea. Everybody's got their heads up their arses. Everybody feels like they're getting screwed. Everybody, what do you want me to do about it, right? And then everyone's freaking out, and then they go, people don't talk to each other anymore. Well, no shit, really? Why? Because I'm not going to bring up anything to you because I don't know where people stand on something. Hold on a second, back in a minute. Miss Sue's home, and Kenneth needs to be fed. I need to shut my door, so I will be back momentarily. No flipping. And we're back. So, stop with the head shaving and just freaking be nice to people. Whatever happened just to being nice to people, right? I guess I just don't get it anymore. And for anyone who thinks that anyone in Washington gives a rat's ass about us, they're kidding themselves. They are kidding themselves, man. They're all out for themselves. The best that we can do is not get hurt too badly. I mean, it really is that way. And it's a shame. But anyway, I went on too long about this. But the bottom line is, Don Lemon, you don't go into a church. What color is the sky on your planet? That's freaking crazy. Stand outside, wait for the service to be over, and then you can do whatever you want. But you don't go in there when someone's trying to speak to their God, whichever it may be. That is a very, very personal and sacred moment. And I don't care what you believe or what rights you think you have. It doesn't give you the right to do that. Okay. There's always, it's timing. It's a question of timing. And that timing was bad and the judgment was bad. And the guy's a douchebag for doing it. So anyway, so we'll move on. Let's move on to how many of you, by show of hands, even though you can't put your hands up, how many of you are happy to see the Rams beat the Bears in overtime? Right here, I was definitely happy to see the Rams beat the Bears. As you know, my look at the way I look at the Bears is that, and I've had this discussion with on the Drew and KB show quite a bit. The Bears are a bitter rival. They are a very bitter rival. But I don't have a hatred for Bears fans. I'll make fun of them. I don't have this hatred to the bone. Vikings fans, on the other hand, I just flat out hate. I hate Vikings fans like Cubs fans, but Packers Bears fans, that is it's not so much hatred, it's not personal hatred as much as it is hated rivals. Although Ben Johnson is doing a lot to change that, I think he's being a total douche. And I was thinking about this yesterday because it was pretty cool. We hated the Bears when they had Ditka, but Ditka was a character, right? And even when the Bears were like that, God, you had Walter Payton. There's no one on the planet who could hate Walter Payton. You can't hate Walter Payton. There was nothing, you couldn't hate Walter Payton. And, they call it the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award for a reason. Yeah, and Ditka was kind of a tool, but Ditka was Ditka. But Ditka became a caricature of himself. And then what I was thinking about was, as I'm watching this last night, they cut away and they show a guy who shows up at the game dressed like Ditka with the aviators and the hair pulled back, and he's got that bear sweater vest on and the mustache, like the super fans on Saturday Night Live. And I'm like, I see that and I just laugh. I just think that's hysterical. And it's like a lot of swagger there. And you got to give props to someone who's going dressed up like Ditka, right? I mean, that's a fan's fan and it looks good. And it's like, it's a caricature and everything like that works for me. I would probably, if I was at a Packers Bears game and that guy was there, I'd probably want to get my picture taken with him. It's just a guy that loves his team, right? But it got me thinking, because then I saw him the last week after, he said F the Packers and this and that. Now that's kind of crossing the line. You don't do that in TV. You can say that behind the behind the cameras. You don't say it in front of the cameras. But when he did that whole, who wants some hot dogs, and he pulls off his shirt and everything like that, I just looked at him going, you are the biggest nozzle in the world. And he's got like a punchable face, a completely punchable face. So I'm going, okay, well, Ditka, if you want to go and show up like Ditka, then you get the sweater and the hat and everything like that, the sweater and the aviators, and you go and show up like Ditka. But he is so nondescript that I think the way that I put it is I go, wow, if you want to dress up and go to a Bears game like Ben Johnson, you just go as some, asshole from Hinsdale. Basically, he's just nondescript looking. He looks like every other turd that's walking around Oak Brook Mall or Old Orchard Square or whatever. It's like, okay. There's just nothing. There's no style there at all. And although I will say that in watching that game, and I thought like the worst thing that could have happened was that long Caleb Williams throw. It's like, but if you're a fan of football, it was kind of cool, right? What do you say? Ben Johnson is the kid in high school who drives his mom's Mercedes to school. Yeah, or he's the kid in college. He's the guy who's a sophomore in college, but he was dating a senior, right? And so he just thought his shit didn't stink, and he was just a total nozzle. That's who that guy is. But when I'm watching with my wife, and he makes that play, and I think she said, "Un-effing believable," and I just went, "Of course they did that, because let's just feed that beast." Right. And you can't deny he's had comebacks, but most of his comebacks have not been because he was great. It's because the other defenses sucked. But you can't deny the fact that the guy had all these second quarter comebacks. I'm glad that it has come to an end. And I have said for a long time that the worst thing you can possibly give a Bears fan is hope. And now they've got a lot of it. And it is going to be unobnoxious, and it's going to be, and pun intended, it is going to be unbearable now for the next 9 months. So get used to it. This is where you're just going to have to sit back, and when they start doing stuff, you just ignore them and go, okay, whatever. Don't even respond with, yeah, but what about all the years before? No, you just let them go. Okay, thanks. Move on. Because of why even engage? It'll drive yourself crazy thinking about doing that. On the other hand, when you take a look at the other games, the Bills-Broncos, great game. Felt bad for Shanna. Her Bills fought hard and her Bills came back. But how would you like to be the Denver Broncos going into the AFC Championship game, okay, against the New England Patriots without your starting quarterback? Now, we didn't even see, and I haven't gone back to look at how Bo Nix broke his ankle, but that has got to be the absolute worst. You're going to the AFC Championship game. You better talk about bad timing, for God's sakes. So, they just picked some guy up off the trash heap. I don't know who their backup was. He didn't have to play, obviously, because he did it on the play before he had to kneel down before they kicked the field goal. But that puts every bettor in the world, and I haven't taken a look. Every bettor in the world has got to be just shoveling out their bank account and putting it on the Patriots. I didn't see where the line moved to. I can take a look where the opening line is on that game. New England -5.5, and I still would go on I would give those points. And the Seahawks and the Rams. I look at the Seahawks and the Rams. It's all West Coast. He got rolled on. Okay. The Seahawks and the Rams, it's all West Coast. I mean, the Seahawks, I really don't care about either one of them. I never really see their games. It would be nice to see Devontae Adams do well. But the Seahawks, I don't know. To me, they don't really count as a team. I don't know why. I think it's because I'd like to see them go back to their old colors, the old Steve Largents, to be perfectly honest with you. But then you look at the other games on the other side of things. You had the 49ers and the Seahawks, okay, and the Seahawks just freaking boat raced the 49ers, and I was fine with that. I was A-okay with that. It didn't bother me in the least to see them get boat raced. But at this point, I don't know how I feel about. I still think the Packers might be right there. The Packers might be right there if they hadn't lost Micah Parsons. I think that was bigger than anyone could possibly imagine. That loss was devastating. Since the Bears lost, it's like a lot of people were chirping about how Jordan Love's not the guy. It's like, okay, 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in a playoff game. I can see why you might say that. It's like, man, there's another word. What color is the sky on your planet? 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and what? What do you expect the guy to do? He can't do much more than that. But I think that they would be. I think that they would be right there. I think you got to take a look at it. My gut is telling me that it's going to be. I think it's going to be the Rams and the Patriots. That's where I'm shaking out, the Rams and the Patriots. And what pisses me off about the Patriots, it's like, okay, you went on that run and you're way back up on top way too quickly. Man, you got to spend more time down in the gutter. Okay, you don't want to be up on top right away. It's like go with the common people for a while. Go suck for several years. I mean, it's only been about 7 or 8 years since they had their last Super Bowl. And then that doesn't even count because Tampa Bay got one with Brady. So it was kind of like having, the Patriots in. And I don't want to see them have any modicum of success. And my son lives in Boston now. And I told him that when he comes back, it's like he can be a Bruins fan. I have no problem with that. I like the Bruins original 6. I'm not a big Hawks fan, so the Bruins are fine. And I said, you can come back as a Red Sox fan because I kind of like the Red Sox better than the Yankees. Can't like the Red Sox when the Red Sox play the Brewers. But I said, you can come back with a Sox hat. You can come back with the Bruins jersey. But if you come back with a Celtics jersey or a Patriots jersey, you're not coming in the house. You can take your Duncan and you can go back. You can go back east because there's no way I'm allowing the Celtics or the Patriots into my home. You are just not welcome. You are not welcome by any stretch of the imagination. So that moves us on to tonight, where we've got the college football playoffs. And I started the show by saying this has dragged out way too freaking long. If you're going to do this, right, I mean, it's made bowl games. Basically, all the bowl games they're irrelevant. I mean, we don't, okay, they're playoff games that are played in the Rose Bowl or played in the Orange Bowl or, the bowl games have literally no meaning. And I think that they should go back to the conference matchups in the bowl games and then just keep it rolling right after the football season is done. Don't take a month off. Just roll right into it and keep it going. I mean, these guys are getting paid just a boatload of cash now. Right, they might as well be professionals. So don't say, well, they need to do, they need to be study for finals. My ass, they do. They're not studying for finals. Okay, it's and if they do, they're doing it online. Right, happy, Marlo. Yeah. So it's like let's just go and keep it going, and then we could be done with all this now. But we get to Indiana, Miami. My heart, and I think most of us. No hatred for Bears fans. I'm happy for Bears, for the Bears loss. Ben Johnson, yes, Marlo, and I know, and you're from up in Packerland. You know exactly what I'm talking about. How you can't really hate the Bears fans; they're a bitter rival. But at the end of the day, it's like the wolf and the it's like Wile E. Coyote and the sheepdog. When the bell rings and you shake hands, you walk away. If you know anything about rugby, I played rugby in college. You go out and pummel each other for the entire game, and then you go drink afterwards. It's kind of like the same thing, right? Yeah, but Ben Johnson is a total nozzle. But getting to the national championship game, aside from the fact that it's gone on way too long, and the game itself is going to be incredibly long. Right. The only good thing about the game is I believe it'll be Fowler and Herb Street. And I think Herb Street is the best color guy out there. A lot of people are saying it's, Greg Olson or this and that. Greg Olson talks too much, but Herb Street is so good. Walks it right down the middle, and just has good insight on things. You can watch Herb Street on an Ohio State game, and you wouldn't even know he played quarterback at Ohio State. But we get to the game tonight, and we're in the middle of January. I mean, Heller just went down to Arizona for fantasy camp, man. This college football should be over. We should be into the pro football playoffs, which we are, and then boom, right into baseball. But no, we're hanging on. So we got Indiana in the U. My heart is with Indiana, but I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work for them. My heart is with Indiana, and I certainly want them to win. But I think what may end up happening is I think Miami might win. And the reason that I think Miami might win is because of Carson Beck, who's in his, 8th season as a quarterback in D1, goes with Georgia and then decides, I'm not going to go high enough in the pros. Might as well go make another $4 million or whatever at Miami. Having familial ties to Notre Dame, and I was actually at the Catholic and the Catholics versus the Convicts game in '88. I have a great disdain for the U. I have a great disdain for Jimmy Johnson and everyone who followed after him. There is nothing that made me happier when they were down in the dumps. And were very bad for several years. But I think Carson Beck is going to be the guy. If they win, it's going to be on his shoulders. But I am rooting for Indiana. I'd love to see it happen. I'd love to see them get a championship. I'd love to see Miami fall. But I'm not so sure that is going to happen. We'll just have to see. I know that I probably won't be up and watching the entire game because I don't know. It'll run. There'll be so many damn commercials and everything. It'll run way too late. But it ought to be interesting. I honestly think that Notre Dame might have done some damage in the playoffs. They lost late to Miami and they lost late to Texas A&M in the first 2 games of the season, but then they beat everybody else by an average of like 32 points. But as we discussed before, putting Alabama in with 3 losses, it's all because ESPN controls all the SEC games, and that's what, Alabama's going to get in because they're SEC. So Indiana, I've got my fingers crossed for Indiana. I got my top 5 things that are going to be coming up in just a minute. And now we're almost done here. And now it gets to the time of the show, which is KB's top 5 all-time worldwide. My top 5 all-time worldwide things. And today, my top 5 all-time worldwide things is TV. My top 5 all-time worldwide TV characters you wouldn't want to, TV or film characters you would not want to have as a roommate. These people would be the absolute worst roommates you could possibly imagine. They would be the most annoying people on the planet. You couldn't wait. You wouldn't wait to get them out of your house. You would do whatever is possible to send them packing. So we're going to start off at number 5 with the absolute worst roommate from TV or film that you could possibly have. And we're going to go with Quagmire. There isn't enough penicillin. And you wouldn't have enough penicillin in your house. You couldn't sit on any of the furniture. And you probably within a week have to go around and introduce yourself and tell them, everyone in your neighborhood, where you were living. You would not want anyone checking your IP address, your Wi-Fi history. No. So number 5, the number 5 worst roommate that you could possibly have would be Quagmire. Coming in at number 4 for the worst possible roommates that you could have are any of the women from Sex and the City. Most annoying women on the planet. I'd want to rip my hair out. There's no way on God's green earth I would want to do that. Well, maybe Kim Cattrall, because she's a little sluttier. But after that, no. Number 3, number 3 is another female, Flo the Progressive Lady. I think Flo the Progressive Lady would be a absolute horrible roommate. Again, you could almost say, like, with these people, it's like, who would you not want as a roommate? Or it could be, who do you not want to be stuck in the International Space Station with? Either way, it's going to work that way. But Flo the Progressive Lady, I think I would just want to blow my head off. Coming in at number 2, the Joker. Either one. I don't care if you go with Heath Ledger or with Joaquin Phoenix. They're the 2 creepiest individuals, I think, ever on the planet. The only one creepier would be Pennywise from It, who I can't even look at without totally freaking out. But having to come home and fight over the remote with these guys, or what are you watching, or who's been eating my cereal? No. And the number 1 worst TV film character that you could have as a roommate is Buffalo Bill. Yeah, I'm going to go with Buffalo Bill. I'm not going to go with Hannibal Lecter. I'm going to go with Buffalo Bill because, Hannibal Lecter was creepy, but Hannibal Lecter was at least a little bit refined. This guy was just off. He was just completely off the rails. And not to mention, you'd be going through lotion like it was no tomorrow. You'd have to be buying big. I don't even think you can get jugs of lotion that big for this guy, right? And you're sitting there one day and everything's fine. The next day, the lights are out and there's a well in your basement. You have no idea what happened. And Buffalo Bill is the last one who I would not want. So those are my top 5 all-time worldwide TV or film people that you do not want to have as a roommate. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Remember to reach out to me and let me know if you'd be interested in, me putting together kind of like a landing page for everyone, so you'd have one location to go to. Go to Drew and KB. Eddie and Stallis. I will not disclose Eddie, the one that I didn't get along with. But a lot of people, I got along with everyone. A lot of people may not have got along with me. But give me your email, and you get some things coming your way, some special KB stuff, or maybe some Drew and KB stuff, or keep up to date with our shenanigans, where we'll be and stuff that we'll be doing. But until then, I will be back tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow is going to be Red Hot Tim Scott. Wednesday, I'm still waiting on another very special guest. Thursday is going to be a man about film himself, Matt Miller. That morning, the Oscar nominations come out. So we're going to be talking about the Oscars on Thursday afternoon with a man who is very knowledgeable about that. Matt Miller will be coming on. And that's what it looks like for the rest of the week. So until that time, as I always like to say, make good choices.